leave the space on the screen since I don't really have anything to share. Let me check. Let me check if YouTube is going. I'm in a bit of a mess here. Don't mind me. Okay, we're live. The space on the screen. Shoot! Yeah, I love the sound of my own voice coming through. All right, so there's that. It's been a while since I've done any live streams. I don't know. I kind of got burned out on live streaming in general, but we'll see. I always say that when I put out a new rare video or live stream. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And then we never do. Well, you do see what happens. I don't show up. That's how it goes. Man, why doesn't this display right on this other monitor? So I have my second monitor going, and it just doesn't want to display the live chat the right way. The page is all stretched wrong. Just terrible. All right, well, it doesn't matter. Look, I'm probably not going to be interacting with chat that much just because I'm supposed to be having a guest. So, I suppose to maybe set the stage a little bit here, since none of this is really going to make sense to anybody without a little bit of context. Yesterday, there was a news story about a 75-year-old black woman who got into a fist fight with a 20-year-old shift leader at the Fort Wayne Tim Hortons. I guess she got upset about a drive-through order and, went into the store and got all rowdy and attacked the employees, and unfortunately, it ended in her life being extinguished. Now, obviously, that is not an ideal outcome, and we don't want that to happen to people. But why on earth would you ever see fit to get violent over a drink order? It's one of the most petty, smallest things imaginable. And it just kind of goes into this whole culture of, like, respect, and you disrespected me, and therefore anything goes, and now, my life is on the line, and I gotta fight for it, even though it's over the dumbest possible thing. So, the reply that I made was I brought up the account of, because people were obviously against the fact that the woman died. They're saying the community wants justice. Now, obviously, when they say community, they mean black community. However you want to define that, that's what they mean. Obviously, it doesn't mean everybody within said community agrees with the assessment, but it's, I guess, a big enough contingent that it's somehow noteworthy, or at least this is what they want the face of said community to be in the media. But that aside, I came in with a reply about the situation a few years ago where a Dunkin' Donuts employee, a black Dunkin' Donuts employee, was apparently called a racial slur by a 77-year-old man, ended up punching the man, which, ended his life. So, what happened to that man? He was initially charged with aggravated manslaughter, then took a plea deal and ended up on house arrest. So obviously, not that big of a deal to kill a dude. And here's one more thing, I guess, that needs mentioning, because it's the only thing that people bring up when you bring up this case now, is that apparently the man that was killed was on the offender registry. Now, I don't know what the specific crime was. Obviously, that's not a good thing. Pedos deserve the wood chipper. Disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. It's only disingenuous people anyway that will pull the whole, well, if you're saying that it's bad that this happened to this guy, that means you're a pedo sympathizer. Anyway, I brought up the case. I said, remember the black Dunkin' Donuts employee that killed an old white guy for supposedly saying the N-word and only got house arrest? The community thought that old guy deserved it for a word, but somehow this lady throws a punch and she's a victim. It never ends with these people. Now, apparently, I guess, maybe it was the it never ends with these people line, but the post actually did very well if you consider likes as agreement, which I guess for the most part you would in a situation like this. Now, it doesn't mean that you're automatically right based on how many likes you get. I'm just trying to get, a gauge of reaction. So it seems like most people agreed with my assessment. However, there are 106 comments. Some I think are counted because I replied to certain people that, there's some outrage about what I said, I guess. So I'm assuming because I had an uptick in DMs as soon as this happened, that the person who we're going to be talking to today is upset by this post or one of the replies I made to people commenting. Now, granted, I did play around with people a little bit in the comments because they got stupid. So, I gave some playfully offensive replies, I guess you could call them. And I stand by them, by the way. But yeah, I got some DMs. I got one about how I should get kirked. I love how they think that's a clever insult. I got one how somebody said, "Guarantee I'm smarter than you." I just said congratulations, and he left it unread. I guess he wanted some kind of outrage that he would dare to say he's more intelligent than I am. And this other guy, the one that we're talking to today, his first DM was just something like, "Oh, here we go. You are obsessed with us, LMAO." But yeah, that's usually the go-to. Is it's like, I got you're obsessed. I got my dick. I got you're racist. I got the trio of responses, I guess. So that's what we're doing today. Supposedly the guy's gonna show up at 3:00 Eastern. We're almost there, so we'll see what happens. I suspect from the way these DMs went that this is going to be a massive waste of time, and that's on me for doing it. But hopefully it at least provides some passing entertainment for anybody who decides to tune in. Because I don't think this is going to be productive. Now, on the off chance that I am surprised, who knows? Maybe we'll change some minds today, touch some hearts. I doubt it though. Anyway, I set the stage now, and there's nobody here yet. However, I am a little early. It's only 2:58. So, we'll see. Honestly, it always kind of surprises me, the posts that set people off, because I feel as though every time it's like you could easily find something way more offensive than what I... Wait, hold on a second. What happened? Oh, looks like looks like the guy who told me to get kirked got suspended. Whoops. Must have been putting out too many threats. So sad. I guess we have to cry tears of anti-censorship for him, huh? All right. Well, let me see. Maybe if I DM the space to this dude. We'll see. Sorry, guys. I don't really have too much else to add unless this guy shows up. So if he doesn't, it may end sooner. We'll give him a little while. I don't want to sit here all day for this. I don't know. Maybe it's just getting older, but the whole arguing incessantly on the internet thing is just, it's tiresome. And most of the reason for that is because nobody's honest for the most part. It's always just like this disingenuous one-upping. No, everybody's afraid to admit that maybe they misspoke, or maybe they didn't know all the information, or uh, is it so hard? Is it just so hard to admit, like, yeah, I just talked a little bit out of turn. I didn't quite know what I was talking about. I'm usually very careful. So the few times that I have misspoke on something, I have no problem just saying so. It's not that hard. It doesn't mean that you're a complete failure at life or anything like that. Just say, "Hey, oh, sorry, my mistake." And you move on with your life. Nothing happens. It's not that big of a deal, I assure you. Well, I wish there was something more to do on, because if you're watching on YouTube, obviously you can see I'm running this through Twitter Space, so I'm just kind of multi-streaming it. But I wish there was something more you could do while you're hosting a Twitter Space. It's really just kind of confined to this. I don't know if you can hear that noise in the microphone, but I have my windows open because the weather has been unreasonably warm lately. I did have both fans running, but I decided to turn them off temporarily. Plus, it's a little bit cooler today than it has been recently. I hate summer. I'm not looking forward to the next couple months because it probably won't be over until early October, maybe. Maybe late September if we're lucky. But it seems like, I don't know, it almost seems as though I'm down to 2 seasons where I'm at. It feels like you get summer and you get winter, and there's barely any in between. It's like spring and fall are just so damn short that you can barely call them seasons because the weather changes so much in such a short time. Well, we're bored when we get into the weather topic. Yeah, I don't think I said anything too crazy. Um, I don't think it's out of turn to bring up a similar case in which it's like a reversed scenario, but the responses are totally different. It's like, it's not that the violence is the problem. Oh man, I don't know. Unfortunately, there's been an uptick in these discussions because of a lot of recent events in the news. Honestly, there's part of me that I wish I could just be free of these topics forever. But at the same time, it's like I sincerely care about it, and I want it to improve, and maybe talking about it on the internet doesn't change anything. It likely doesn't. But I don't know, just completely ignoring it doesn't feel like a good option either. It's something that's so ingrained in society now that it's so difficult to it's going to be extremely difficult to have any meaningful change. And I think scenarios that might create meaningful change are obviously going to be seen as oppressive and the dreaded racist and all those other things. But the problem is that all this stuff has been going on so long that I'm just not sure there is any other way out of it. talking doesn't work. I mean, you talk until you're blue in the face. You need political change, obviously, but when your politicians, largely live by the same narrative, and even the ones who don't are kind of incompetent, or at the very least like stun locked, and won't do anything that might seem extreme, for lack of a better word. And when I say extreme, I'm not even necessarily talking about some kind of violent uprising. It's more just like we need harsh policy change, and obviously people are going to feel like that's unfair. Like certain people are definitely going to feel like that's unfair because it's going to impact them disproportionately. But the reason that it's going to impact them disproportionately is not because it's racist against them. It's because they're enacting the behaviors that will get them punished. So if they stop doing that, and the law could just, apply as equally as possible, that would be for the best. But if you keep supporting these judges that are letting these people out, and your quote-unquote community, for however many good people there may be within, if you're going to be involved in that discussion, then you have to call out your own people. You absolutely have to. You have to clean your own house before you clean anybody else's. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know where this guy is. I apologize to any listeners who are showing up, just because there's nowhere to really take this discussion until he shows up. But I don't anticipate that it's going to be fruitful anyway, because it seemed to me like he was dragging on the DMs for quite a bit. And it was just this sort of petty, effeminate type arguing tactics where it's like, oh, well, actually, you're just upset that I DM'd you. It's like, I don't want to talk about your feelings. I'm not your, I'm not your therapist. I'm not your mother. I'm not your girlfriend. I don't need this. It has nothing to do with anything. And then it's like, they won't even tell you what it is that you said that started the whole discussion in the first place. It's like, so why are you even messaging me? What, you want to call me names that makes you feel better about your inferiority complex? Have at it. That doesn't do anything. The only people that care that much about what names they're called online are the people that are obsessed with feeling respected everywhere they go. I could not care less about being respected, especially by people that I don't respect. Well, it's 3:08. I don't know how long I'm supposed to give this guy. I'm thinking maybe 20 minutes, and that's being generous. And then I would like to go do other things because the day is still young. Perhaps it is my mistake for for throwing out the invite. But it's like, I don't want to do this thing where I'm arguing with random strangers in the direct messages. It's so much easier to just have the call. And I also like that, at least then I can say it's not a complete waste of time, because I can delude myself into claiming that it's entertainment for an audience. But, it seems like maybe my best course of action would have been to just not respond at all. And that's what I do with some of these, because there's just way too many people that get outraged and want to shoot off a DM, I guess, to make themselves feel better. This dude messaged me at 3:30 in the morning, though. I woke up and I checked my notifications or whatever, and it's like, why is a complete stranger messaging me at 3:30 in the morning just to say something stupid in reference to a post that he won't even reveal what it was. But like I said, it's more or less obvious because hey, TNK, long time, man. Hope you're doing well. Listening instead of working. Well, unfortunately this stream might be cut short because my challenger is not showing up. He was so adamant about this too. He was all like, "Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to reveal you for being a pussy." It's always the same type of nonsense. Like, yeah, I'm sure you feel really manly on the internet. Awesome. Okay, I'm bored. I don't have anything to drone on about for the next 9 minutes. I just don't. Let me see. Let's look. Oh, so the other thing he wanted to harp on was because I made that joke post about the new Scooby Doo anime. It's like, you're crying over fictional characters, bro. It's like, all right, man. The whole reason we have the DEI like representation problem in fiction is because people were crying over fictional characters because they didn't feel quote unquote represented. And so now they want to like they always project. Yeah, so whenever somebody says the pussy thing, I just throw out the invite. Most people don't. So you didn't know. Well, now I guess there's a show where they're gonna have adventures in Japan. I don't know. They added the Shiba Inu, but I don't know why they needed the black driver. I don't get that. And then they have like this pink haired Hatsune Miku ripoff. I guess she's supposed to be the anime girl representation. We'll see. Anyway, I just made a joke post about it. Like, I'm not deeply invested in Scooby Doo. I just think it's ridiculous that whenever they do one of these remakes or reboots, it's always something. Like, what was the last one? They turned Velma into an Indian girl or something like that. Like, why do we need to do this? Who benefits? You know, I think in part they do it to set off a controversy because the quality of these shows are absolute garbage. And it's like without that controversy, nobody's watching it, nobody is talking about it because the writing just can't stand on its own. And so you have these people that'll just be like, "I love it because I'm gonna watch it to own the chuds." I have to tell you, I have never partaken in an activity or played a video game or watched a movie or whatever just because I thought it would piss off some random contingent of people on the internet. Never. Absolutely never. Now, it's funny to joke about, but I would never go out of my way to do it just on that basis. Whatever it is still has to be quality enough for me to stick with it. It's not just gonna be like, yeah, dude, turning this on is totally gonna piss people off on the internet. Should I have Keenan on? That's true. He is a Scooby Doo fan. Well, I think what that was is he was just trying to cling to that because he had nowhere to stand on the real life aspect of the discussion. So it was just like, hey, let me hyper focus on this and try to claim that you're being emotional about something. Meanwhile, the whole basis for this conversation is his emotions. Anyway, I do see I have some listeners on Twitter, but I'm sorry, guys. It appears our guest is not here. I don't know where he is. I DM'd him the the space. And he kept going on and on about how I was trying to dodge and how I was trying to duck. And he's the one that set this time. I let him set the time. I said, when are you free? And he's like, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. See you there. Let's see. Here. I didn't make a mistake, did I? No, look. 3 p.m. The message says, I'm off 2:30 p.m. EST today. Let's link up 3 p.m. Well, it is 3:16. And I see no guest. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Complete victory. Oh, I hate it so much when people are just like, I win. Like, do you really feel that good about yourself that you have to declare yourself winner online? What does that do? I think the joke is on me for even considering this to be an option, honestly. Well, like I said, I'll keep it going a little bit longer, but if nobody shows, I'm going to have to shut it down. I guarantee. Well, maybe I shouldn't guarantee, but I feel as though there's going to be some sort of cope here or some sort of accusation that actually somehow I'm the one that dodged this. But I really don't know how that's going to be spun. I'm looking. No signs of this dude. So this is crazy because he was like nagging me in DMs all afternoon. Like if I stopped replying even after we set the time, he's like, "You going quiet on me?" It's like, I didn't realize I was obligated to hold your hand until 3:00. I thought that would just mean like, hey, we'll do this later. I didn't realize I had to have the DM conversation plus the Twitter space. Not a Final Fantasy stream, so tell me about it. You know what? I'd rather be having a Final Fantasy stream. I may do one soon. I don't know if it'll be a Final Fantasy that people want me to play. I'll totally troll you by pushing you to open a space. That's why I won't join to troll. Yeah, that actually might be the case too. Well, that's okay. I was able to do a YouTube upload, and so that will help me. That will help me on my remonetization journey, because apparently it reset last year or at the beginning of this year, and I lost all my progress again. So hold on, let's go there. Oh crap, I actually closed the chat by accident. Sorry guys, I'll be right back to the chat. I just want to look at the back end real quick, so bear with me. Monetization. Okay, here we go. So it says I have the necessary amount of subscribers, which is only 500. I'm way over that, which is okay, whatever. The 3 video uploads in 90 days, got that. So now I only have 478 valid public watch hours. I don't know what constitutes a valid public watch hour. Perhaps I should look that up. Like what makes a watch hour invalid? Anyway, I need 3,000 of those, and I only have 478. So unless views go up, even despite my lack of consistent content, which it's not coming back. I'm sorry. That means I've lost monetization permanently. tend to. I was considering Mystic Quest. Yeah, I don't know. I never made a lot of money off of YouTube in the first place. I would get like $100 maybe twice a year if I was lucky. So it's not like I was living off YouTube income. It was just a nice bonus. It'd be nice to have it back, but I also understand that I'm not exactly putting in the quote unquote work anymore. But my issue is just the fact that it was ever removed in the first place. I feel like that was really stupid. Because I didn't do anything. It's not like I got some kind of content strike or something. It was just like, oh, you didn't use your channel enough in this magical allotted amount of time, so therefore you lose something that you already earned. Treasure of the Red. Ooh, that I've had that on. I've had that on my mind lately too. I'm kind of intrigued by the spell system, but I've also never actually played around with it. Like I've loaded up the game years ago on an emulator, but I didn't really get anywhere, so I can't I can't say I've played it. 5-10 minutes to me, that's not really meaningful playtime. Unless I decide I really dislike a game, then that's enough for me. The shekel point sticker. Oh man, I have that too. That's crazy that was 8 years ago. I can't believe I've known some of you guys that long. I appreciate the fact that you still show your faces here, though, despite the lack of internet activities. I'm sure that anybody listening back to this space on Twitter is going to be like, who the hell is this guy talking to? But I'm talking to YouTube chat, okay? They at least interact. I don't know what you guys are doing. You can stream it using an OSCC Pro. What? I guess I should probably take a more careful look, but what would you say is the biggest difference between the OSCC Pro and like RetroTink? Because I remember RetroTink, to me, it looked good enough for like Super Nintendo and stuff. Appreciate the acknowledgement. Yeah, man, I remember usernames. It's kind of, it's a nice little warm feeling to see familiar faces. Latency, you're guessing. Well, I thought there was also different capabilities for consoles, but like I said, I'm not an expert in these areas. What is better though? Like as far as latency goes, which one is better? A lot of settings. I feel like that may be a tad overwhelming. I also wanted to finish Dragon Quest 6. I was really enjoying that. I just kind of dropped off. When I dropped off of streaming, I stopped playing it cuz I was like, well, if I'm going to play it, I should probably stream it. But at the same time, I'm not really in the mood to stream, but I also want to play Dragon Quest 6, so I ended up not touching it. But I more or less remember where I am, so I'm not going to start over because it was an adventure enough getting to where I am. Yeah, and I think I already did 2 or 3 of those, so I would just be continuing where I left off. I just got I think when I left off, I just got Barbara in the party and left that tower where I found her. Yeah, it's the Super NES or Super Famicom version, whatever you'd like to call it. And I'm playing it on a cartridge, actual hardware. Although it's not. Excuse me. Losing my voice. I'm playing it on the FX Pack Pro. I could have got the I could have got the English translated cartridge, but I figured if I'm gonna do that, then I might as well just have like the one cart with the large collection of games. Although I do like that there are some people that make like repro carts and they go the whole 9 yards and they have like the box and the manual and all that. So that was my reason for almost going that route. I might still pick one of those up someday just because of that. There's one for Dragon Quest 1 and 2 for Super that's really nice. I believe I saw it on Etsy. There's a store on there that sells it. By the way, speaking of Etsy, I was gonna open a store on there because I was considering trying to generate some new sources of income, and you have to go through this whole retarded verification process now, where it's like you have to not only do you have to show your driver's license, which okay, I guess I can do that, but then to verify your driver's license, you have to take a selfie. It's like, all right, now you're pissing me off. I don't want to jump through all these hoops just to put a listing on your damn store, and aren't the fees enough? It's like you can barely profit on these websites anyway. All right, well, it is 3:28. I started this 38 minutes ago. This dude is not showing. But he's a big brave man. Oh yeah, take the picture of yourself holding your ID. It's like, look, if at some point somebody got my ID and they want to open a store, just let them. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't want to do it. All right. Well, guys, I'm at least going to end the I think I'm going to end the Twitter space because this dude's not he hasn't even read the linked DM. Like I didn't even get left on read. I'm on unread. Meanwhile, all day, the slightest message and he would instantly read it. But all of a sudden, he's disappeared. Maybe he got mugged on the bus ride home or something. I don't know. Now there's people yelling outside. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like kids. Yeah, that makes sense. School's probably out. Okay, no cause for alarm. I'm actually in a relatively safe neighborhood. Um, like a few blocks over, there's like a more downtrodden looking area, but I don't know how it is as far as crime goes. The one thing that does annoy me though about having to live around people is the smell of weed. I'm so tired of having the window open in the summer and having to smell that. legalization or decriminalization or whatever the hell they're calling it is like has to be one of the worst things that has happened. Like why should I have to get high because you want to smoke? All right, like I'm not actually getting high, but the point remains that it smells like trash and I don't want to breathe it in. And I don't have the luxury of closing the window when it's like 90 degrees. So, but I guess this dude is selling his house. So hopefully somebody buys it soon and the people that move in aren't trash. That would be nice. The weird thing is this neighbor, he's like this hippie Trump supporter guy. Like the neighborhood had a meeting because he had a sign like last election cycle. He had a sign on his house that said something about like positive about Trump, but it also had the word fuck on it. So they used the fact that it had the word fuck on it as a pretext for taking down a political sign they didn't like. And I guess somehow they strong armed him into taking it down. I had something to do with like, oh well, kids are walking by here and they shouldn't have to see profanity or whatever. And it's like, all right, maybe you don't need to be antagonistic like that in your front yard, but the real thing, the real issue they had was that it was pro-Trump. Trust me, I was at the meeting, and they did this like smug liberal thing where like they assumed everybody in the room agreed with them and held the same political views. Anyway, I want to get one of those lawn signs that's like in this house we believe, but I'm going to do my own version of it. I'm not going to put anything crazy like no swear words or nothing crazy antagonistic. It's just going to kind of mock the idea of the sign. Renting a place surrounded by old people, so I'm living pretty comfy. Yeah, that would definitely be more relaxing. I can imagine. It smells like India. Oh, you don't want that. And then I don't even know what's happening because I was in Walmart the other day. I told Makitan about this. But there's like a woman in like a burqa or a niqab or whatever the hell they call them. And I'm just like, how did we get here? How am I in such like a relatively small area and I'm seeing people from the Middle East? I don't understand. Remember someone in a work meeting wearing a MAGA hat and I haven't seen him in years? Man, they probably kidnapped him and shipped him off to some hellhole. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in. I don't think there's really much of a point in having like political conflicts with your neighbors. If it can absolutely be avoided, it's obviously for the best just to not give yourself the headache. I'm not saying you should like hide who you are, but at the same time, you also don't need to go out of your way to get into those conflicts. He was Middle Eastern too. Well, I guess that's a decent argument to stay. Maybe I don't know. I'm getting a little hardcore on immigration here. I'm tired of seeing all the as long as it's legal stuff and like the older generations like when somebody interviews them they're like, well, what about the like replacement population situation? They're like, well, it's actually not even a big deal. I mean, who cares, bro? They're all voting. They're voting red. It's legal. It's like, oh, so just like having your country taken over is fine as long as it's done legally. Great. Glad we could work that out. But that's the thing. It's like such a generational difference. It's difficult for them to view that as an invasion. They're really overtaken by the like the pursuing the better life narrative. You know, I was thinking about that, like the whole the whole based minority thing, because I saw a video yesterday, and it was this black dude going on about he's going on about the nigga topic, and he had good points of view. I'm not gonna lie, I agreed with it 100%. Hell, I've said most of what he has said in that video, and the thing is that it's annoying to think like, yeah, we need people like that because their identity. But I don't think that that's necessarily the case. Also, where the hell is this guest? I guess he's not coming because I still haven't turned off the Twitter space. But then you also have to think about it from like a more pragmatic perspective where it's like, okay, obviously these people think... There I go again with my these people. You know, they think the whole representation thing is kind of important, right? And so maybe there's a chance, like maybe there's a slight chance they'll be more likely to listen to someone who quote unquote looks like them because it does come off as inflammatory and offensive and condescending when, you know, when I say something that, even if it's true, they think that, you know, you can't say that just because you're white. And look, I'd love to get past that because I think it's retarded. You shouldn't have what you say or what you're allowed to think controlled by your appearance or your background. But there are a lot of people that think like that. But then, on the other hand, would the people that think that way really listen just because the point of view is coming from another black man? I don't know. Maybe in some cases. I feel like it's kind of hard to say. I'd play the video if... Maybe I don't need to pay attention to this stupid space anymore since he's not coming. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. We might just have to do audio only though, because I don't know if I can pull it up. Also, apologies to anybody who's popping in for the Twitter space, but it appears that my guest is not showing. He hasn't yet. I don't know where he is. If you come in and you pop out, I understand. If you want to come back, if you see somebody come in, you know, I get it. All right, so let's see. The caption of the video says "Jail the blacks." Oh God. All right. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. All right, is he showing? He's showing on the screen. Okay, great. I'm gonna play him.
You can feel whatever way you want to feel about Chud the Builder and his antics, but at the end of the day, he's just filling a vacuum that is created by how fragile niggas are. People among all races are watching Chud because they know niggas are low impulse and retarded. People are watching Chud because they're seeing Carmelo Anthony stab Austin Metcalf. They're seeing DeCarlos Brown stab Ronnie Zaruska. They're seeing niggas start random fights in Chipotle's and nothing fucking happens. Judges are like, well, that nigga's too dumb to stand trial even though he just stabbed a bunch of people. Or it's like, oh, it doesn't even really matter if black people are paying off the legal fees of these other retarded black people that are causing havoc for everybody else. But a white guy like Chud the Builder decides to shoot somebody in self-defense after using his right to freedom of speech, and all of a sudden, no, we gotta set his bond to like $1 billion. And if you guys don't like that, well, black people are allowed to burn down every single fucking city in America. Nobody wants to fucking live like that. People are watching Chud because our government doesn't do shit about black people doing this retarded dumb shit. Trump can start regional wars in Iran, he can fuck around in China, but when it's time to send the National Guard up in Detroit and up in Chicago where niggas are running around with switches and killing each other over blocks they don't own and hitting bystanders all fucking day because they can't fucking aim because they have no actual training, no, we can't do that shit. Brandon Johnson is able to bitch Trump out of the entire fucking city. Nobody wants to live in fear of black people anymore, including other fucking black people. But as long as we're so forced to sit here and nobody can enforce their will on other black people, niggas won't even enforce their will on themselves. We have to sit here and deal with this shit. Look at what Nayib Bukele has done in El Salvador. He just took all the cartel members and just threw those niggas in jail, and now they're living in heaven. We should get to live that way too. But as long as nothing fucking changes, if it's not Chud the Builder, then we're just gonna get Chud the Digger next, and whoever comes after him.
Okay, look, I cracked up at the part where he's like, niggas won't even impose their own will on themselves. Okay, all right, look, I shouldn't laugh, but like, he has a point. It's a good point. More people need to listen to it, and I've said most of that myself, maybe not in the exact same words, but very close. And so, you know, there's just a different perception of when somebody like that says it versus when I say it. I get that. I do understand that. But even that guy, you know, he gets called tap dancing, coon, whatever, you know, tap dancing for the white man. But it's like, no, man, like, people just don't want to live in hell. They want peace. And the craziest part about all of this is, like, the reputation, the perception of the quote unquote black community would increase and improve so much if they stopped supporting the criminals as part of like the struggle and just said, you know what? To hell with these guys. They're criminals. They need to be in jail. Just like the rest of us. That alone would improve perceptions. Look, like, obviously it'll never be perfect. But it'd be way better than what it is now. And that's what we need. Like, if you just jailed all these criminal bastards that go around terrorizing people, that would leave you with the people that do not commit crimes. And that's what you want. But no, they have to conflate all this BS and put it together as like, oh, well, no, this is just like the consequence of racist policies and racist society, and like that's why we have these issues. It's like, no, we have these issues because we were conditioned to stop caring about them and stop acting like they are issues because we didn't want to be perceived as, you know, racist against certain groups. And that's just not living in reality. It's not sustainable. And we're seeing that it's not sustainable because we're seeing an increase in racial conflict all around. You wouldn't have guys like this Chud the Builder dude going out there and trying to like, you know, seeing how far he can go with freedom of speech if it weren't for the fact that you see all these news stories on the daily of like, this guy got away with this guy got away with that. And then it's crazy because, you know, he gets in his own altercation, which wasn't even related to one of the live streams, crazy enough, ends up shooting somebody, and now he's got like, you know, some $1.25 million bond. He's got a lawyer that's like cucking out publicly about how his grandfather was like the least racist dude. He actually said, that people referred to his grandfather as the nigger coach because he allowed black people on his sports teams. As that's supposed to be like a point of pride. You can't live with this. It's just not possible. It's crazy. And so many people just want to turn it into like, oh, it's all about hate. And it's like, well, no, listen, there shouldn't be any of us, no matter your background, that should be supporting people that make society worse for everybody else. It doesn't matter if you consider them on the same team. That's just not the way it should be. In fact, you should want those people policed so that your collective looks better. A Mrs. Peaches song about that. I think that dude needs to get a new lawyer. Like, I'm not heavily invested in that specific case, but like at the same time, I do think it's a scenario where they're obviously like trying to throw the book at the guy to, on one hand, prove how not racist they are, but on the other, to deter future, you know, any future pushback. And the thing is, you know, you can say it's crass, you can say it's unsavory. I agree. It doesn't really perform necessarily any benefit to society by going around and saying racial slurs. But what has happened is we've allowed that term to basically justify any reaction. And we can't, that is what we can't have. That is the core underlying point, where it's like, regardless of what you think of the guy, regardless of what you think of the streams, I think nuisance streams in general are stupid. That's the underlying issue that we have to put an end to. And so, yeah, I want somebody that defended themselves to be freed. I don't think that's unreasonable, but he definitely needs to ditch that lawyer, because it seems like he has gone out of his way to virtue signal and separate himself from his client, which is very, very weird behavior. I don't know. Have we seen any cases, like, I don't follow too many, legal cases closely, but have we seen any where the lawyer comes out and makes a statement where they basically disavow their client? They're like, well, I'm going to defend him, but he's actually trash. I mean, is that even is that even something you should do as a practicing lawyer? I don't know that that's a great idea for your legal reputation. All right. Well, guys, it looks as though this dude is not showing up. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end the space. I thank you for anybody who popped in to listen, but there you go. We made the effort. He did not show. Let the record show that the guest was a no-show. All right, so I'm gonna turn off the Twitter space. Thank you, everybody. Okay, and then as far as the YouTube stream goes, if the lawyer shows up with a Star Wars pin, then it couldn't be more over. Is it like a tie that says only a Sith deals in absolutes? Unless you're racist. then it's absolute all the time. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to do? Well, it's like 4 p.m, and I honestly haven't even had lunch yet. So I think I'm gonna go cook something. I might. I don't want to make any promises. I might stream soon, but we shall see. See, the thing is like, most of the time when I'm having my downtime, I'm working on like pixel art. So I don't know. I've streamed that before, and it's not like I'm against doing it again, but I also want to play some games. All right, anyway, thank you guys. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. And we will see each other soon. Oh yeah, the email reacts. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so in the altercation where he shot the guy in self-defense, there was no, he didn't even say slurs or anything like that, which is what makes it even crazier, because it's like some stranger that has watched your content can then like hunt you down in public and do whatever they want to you. We just can't have society like that.